Welcome to the Fantasy Football Show. Well, that's Smitty's show. We're also doing a Beastum live cast right here. Smitty, glad that we're finally doing this.
Yeah, are you on my show or am I on your show? Because I feel like you're on my show right now.
It's like the Jetsons meet the Flintstones, I feel. That's what we got going right now.
Okay, so we're doing like a dual recording. He's on my show for my audience. I'm on his show, but we're going to talk about Bus, guys we might agree on, disagree on. Who's the first topic? Todd Gurley, Darrell Henderson, right?
Yeah, let's just jump straight into it. And let's talk about Todd Gurley before we talk about Darrell Henderson. Gurley's going in the second round of fantasy football drafts this season. That is way too early. The Rams have one goal this season, and that is to win the Super Bowl. So if the Rams are up by 21 points in the fourth quarter, or they're playing against an easy team and Gurley's beat up, Gurley's not going to be playing in those games. How do you feel about Gurley this year?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I honestly believe this. You won't find anybody on YouTube or really anywhere on social media that's beat this horse dead like I have. That Todd Gurley's the biggest bust in 2019. In January, when I launched the Fantasy Football Show, I went on my YouTube show when I first launched it, and I said, no Todd Gurley, no Todd Gurley, no Todd Gurley 5,000 times in a row to kick off my show. It took me an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes or whatever. People came in, they're like, what are you doing? What is he saying? That's how much I wanted people to know about the no Todd Gurley movement. Now, the real question isn't, is Todd Gurley going to not hold up? Because I firmly believe that. From the fact that we've been lied to since the Super Bowl, he's been injured all offseason. He's not going to play in the preseason. And we know what happens when players hold out and don't play in the preseason. They get hurt. This is a very injury-prone player with knee arthritis that has been dodging questions, and now all of a sudden is good to go, right?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, he's probably not even going to play that much to start the season. Like I said, it's all about the Super Bowl for the Rams. So early on, I agree with you. Gurley, he's not even going to be part of this equation.
But the guy that will be, that I think we disagree on, is Darrell Henderson. Darrell Henderson, to me, will be a top 5 to 10 running back in fantasy football per start. I don't know when he'll start. Will it be week 1? Will Todd Gurley news unfold and the guy won't play? We don't know. But Darrell Henderson, to me, is a guy that can win you a league in 2019. And if I'm wrong about it, you don't lose your league because Darrell Henderson's in the late 6th round, 7th round range. But if I'm right, you win your league. Darrell Henderson's going to explode.
Let's talk about Darrell Henderson. So you love him, but look at who the running backs are on the Rams. They have Malcolm Brown and they have John Kelly. Now, both those guys went to Texas, Tennessee, powerhouse schools right there. Henderson coming from Memphis. I don't see Henderson all of a sudden beating these running backs that were better than Henderson his entire career as far as type of stature, value. Henderson's small. It looks like he's going to get crushed when he faces real talent and not that University of Memphis talent. And on top of that, if Gurley gets injured, I can see the Rams going out and getting someone like Chris Ivory from the streets and securing that running back position.
There were teams that he played. UCF was 11-0 when he dominated them. Darrell Henderson's compact like Alvin Kamara. He's a lot of what people do is they look at the numbers. They say, oh, here's his height, here's his weight. They don't look at the build. Look at N'Keal Harry and DK Metcalf as another example of stepping outside of this to give perspective. They're essentially the same size. DK's a little bit bigger. He's built differently. DK Metcalf will not hold up at the NFL level, but they're essentially the same size. They're the same strength. They did the same bench, number of reps on the bench. They're literally the same size. N'Keal Harry is ideal for an NFL wide receiver. He's going to be elite. DK Metcalf's more like a tight end. So looking at numbers doesn't necessarily mean a guy's not going to make it because he's small or he's built this way. He's built like Alvin Kamara. Look at Warrick Dunn. These things happen. When you are an elite player with breakaway ability like Darrell Henderson, and I disagree with you, I think he's better than anybody in this NFL draft class for rookie running backs. He's number 1 in college football history in yards per attempt. Number 1. They've been collecting stats for 60 plus years. He's number 1 in yards per attempt. Do you know what his yards per carry were last year in college? 8.9. That was staggeringly higher than anybody else in the entire nation. Do you know who had the most yards per carry the year before? 8.9? Darrell Henderson, again, back-to-back years with 8.9 yards per carry, number one in college football history in yards per attempt.
Before we start listing all these college football stats, last time I checked, Johnny Manziel set all these college that people still look at. College stats do not matter. We're in the NFL. These are big boys that are hitting him. When CJ Mosley hits someone like Darrell Henderson, Henderson's not getting up. I've watched tape on him. He does not have breakaway speed. He does not have power that can run over a real NFL linebacker. And his jukiness, yeah, he's got some moves, but he's low to the ground. He better have some moves. He reminds me of Jacquizz Rodgers. Bottom line, even if Todd Gurley misses a game, it's going to be a running back by committee. Malcolm Brown is a veteran. He can pass block. He's reliable. He's dependable. He's not going to put the ball on the ground. The Rams trust him. And if something happens, they're going to sign someone else.
They moved up to get him. They want him. He has elite speed. So we completely disagree on that. There were scouts that said during his 40 time, and you can debate this, and there's multiple reports from multiple scouts, that he ran a 4.37 40 on stopwatches.
I'm talking about
multiple scouts, not one. And on top of that, if he didn't have the speed that you're talking about that he doesn't have, why is he number one? All these things are number one, number two, number five. Why is he number one in the nation in 20-plus yard runs and 40-yard-plus runs in the nation?
Look at what teams he's going up against. And I don't care about 40 time without the pads on. I've watched highlights of him. In the highlights, I don't see the breakaway speed of Kareem Hunt running 70 yards. He's never touched because he's going up against like a high school college football teams at the quality. But anyways, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, UCF was 11-0 when he dominated the hell out of them, and he had 1,900 plus yards, 25 total TDs. Again, 100. And I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but it was in 2017. He had over 140 something carries, something like that. 8.9 yards per carry. We're not talking about he had 50 carries at 8.9. He had over 100 carries, 8.9 yards per carry, and then over 200 carries in 2018 with 8.9 yards per carry. I get what you're saying. I understand that defenses were weaker. He faced weaker defenses. He did. But sometimes you've got to look, and when somebody passes the eye test, mixed with all those stats, man, it goes into the most ideal situation. It's a crafty one. It's a sneaky situation, the best situation for any running back in this 2019 NFL draft class because of who's in front of him. And I know some people like Malcolm Brown, some people don't. I'm telling you right now, if you draft Darrell Henderson in the 6 to 7 round range, you can win your league with that one move, and it's not going to cost you if I'm wrong.
All right, well, only time will tell. We both made our points, I don't feel like we can just keep going back and forth because at this point we'll see how it all plays out. But I will say this to end it. That 6th, 7th round pick with the Beast Dome draft strategy that I have, it is a game changer with that selection. So,
who do you like over Darrell Henderson?
Oh, man, I really don't want to give the name of, but I'll give you one running back. That I like that I would take ahead of him. Latavius Murray. This year with the Saints, he's going to get all the work that Mark Ingram was getting. He could even get more. I don't want to touch too much into this. Let's just move on to the next topic.
Hold on. Let's do one thing.
Okay.
What bet can we make that Darrell Henderson will outscore Latavius Murray?
All right. You name it. You name it.
Do I live YouTube or go live on Instagram and just say that I was wrong, Smitty was right from the Fantasy Football Show. Now, if I'm wrong, I'll go Beast Dome was right and just do like an apology tour on a live for 5-10 minutes.
We can do it like every 4 weeks, a little, quarter waypoint, and we can. Yeah. All right.
And if let's say Latavius Murray's doing okay and Darrell Henderson hasn't been unleashed yet, which I don't think will be the case because I'm predicting.
We can go back and forth.
But I'll be like, hey, I'll go on and graciously be like, currently you are beating me, but wait till Darrell Henderson. Yeah, so we'll do that. We'll do it all year. Sprinkle it in. That sounds good. That'll be fun. Next topic, Browns. Mayfield, Odell, Chubb, whoever we want to talk about Browns. Now, I don't think we're going to be yelling at each other.
Super Bowl. Come out and play.
Super Bowl ticket. Oh, I'm gonna wake up the. Oh, I moved it. I'm gonna wake up the missus. Miss Smitty's gonna kill me.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah, it's the Browns. Super Bowl ticket. We're not. We seem pretty eye to eye on this one. I think Mayfield's going to have 37, 38 passing TDs, run for 4 or 5. I think Chubb's going to go nuts. But I think this. I don't know. This is a topic you and I are going to disagree on here because I feel like 70% of the world is against me on this one. But if you draft Nick Chubb, who I like, I think he's a top 5 to 10 running back per start. But if you handcuff him to Kareem Hunt, you're golden. And a lot of people say, don't waste your pick on Kareem Hunt. He's out half a year. It's about sleeping well at night because you have these secured, don't miss a beat handcuff. It's not about that Kareem Hunt's going to take over his job. Whenever I post a video on this, people are in the comments talking about how I'm somehow saying that Kareem Hunt's going to take his job. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that this duo together guarantees you top 5 to 10 running back numbers. What do you think about that?
I will say this, Chubb to start the season, he's definitely going to get those numbers. It's basically his show, no doubt about it. But once Kareem Hunt comes back after that suspension, I see both players hurting each other to the point where they're both running back threes, almost making it a double-edged sword, and it's not a strategy that's going to win you your championship. It's going to get you into the playoffs for sure because you got a top running back to start, but towards the end of the year, it's almost like playing hot potato with both of them.
I think Chubb is such a good running back, but he's a very injury-prone player. He suffered such a bad knee injury that you got to wonder the aggressiveness that he runs with. He's an abusive runner to himself and to others, but to himself especially. If anybody's going to break down under heavy usage, like you said, it's his show. It's week 10, week 11, when a rookie typically hits a wall. It's kind of like a rookie year for him in a sense. I mean, he had a really good run last year. I mean, he played a lot. So I see him on a full season hitting some sort of wall and getting hurt. So I think this strategy that I'm talking about is going to save people. I am saying that you're going to need Kareem Hunt. That's why it's so important to me. So if he gets hurt, Hunt's going to get in there and I think light it up because he's a little bit better pass catcher.
Here's the thing right here. Kareem Hunt goes in the same range as Darrell Henderson. How do you make it both work?
I go Hendy, no problem. And then if Hunt's there, he's there. But I think if you draft Chubb, you got to figure out a way to get both of those guys. You got to figure out a way to get Hunt, but you need to get Hendy as well because Hendy's going to win you the league.
I agree that you need Chubb and that you need Kareem Hunt together if you end up drafting them. I do not agree with the Hendy call, but we'll see on that. We already know. We already know that.
We've established that.
We established that. Let's talk about, before we talk about their defense, I want to talk about a receiver that Fantasy Pros asked the top 10 experts who's one player you must draft this season. And one of the experts said Antonio Callaway, which to me is just a complete waste of a pick because how can you ever start Antonio Callaway in any standard or PPR league?
Yeah, in Dynasty as a project or something like that, I mean, maybe. But I think that this whole team, other than him, is going to eat a ton in 2019. And what really gets me agitated is when people talk about how the Browns won't have enough output, so to speak, to get it to all these players. And it drives me nuts because Baker Mayfield, why doesn't he get a chance to improve? Why are people acting like his numbers last year are the only thing you can extrapolate to predict what he's going to do this year? He has Odell Beckham Jr. now.
And so Odell's ready to prove something. He's ready.
Baker Mayfield just got a whole lot better just from that move. I mean, who wouldn't? And so people acting like he can't throw 14, 15 TDs to Odell, throw 10 to Njoku, who I think is my top 4 tight end in 2019. I think he is the guy to draft after the big 3. Don't draft him any higher than you have to, but his ADP is like 8 or 9 round range, and I think he's going to explode. Will he get 1,000 yards? No, because I don't think any tight end after the big 3 will get 1,000 yards. I think it's going to be 900 yards and 10 TDs for him. And then Landry might be the odd man out in terms of exploding, but I think he'll be serviceable and good in fantasy. But Odell's going to have 15 TDs in 2019. That's my prediction. And Mayfield's going to throw at least 36 to 39.
I do like Njoku. However, I have a tight end that I love more than the big 3 that's outside the big 3. Don't want to talk about. It's part of the Beast Dome draft strategy. It's free this year, by the way. But anyways, Njoku, he will have like 700 yards, 7 to 8 touchdowns, something in that range, yeah. But there's a better option. Let's talk about the defense, though, okay? Because they got Olivier Vernon this year and Sheldon Richardson. That alone should be enough to take them to the Super Bowl. How do you feel about it?
I love this team, man. I think they're going to be the Kansas City Chiefs of 2019, one of the most, if not, number 2 or number 1 most aggressive offense in the league. Kansas City just jumped onto the scene and did what I think Cleveland's about to do. And while people kind of saw Pat Mahomes coming, he's my number 1. Pat Mahomes, my number 1 bold prediction for 2018. I'm known at Sleeper U. I'm all about sleepers and picking guys that break out. And he was my number 1 breakout. And I was ripped apart for that. And I'm kind of getting ripped apart for my Baker Mayfield predictions because I have Baker at number 3 over Luck. I have Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Baker. And I take a lot of heat from that on a regular basis. But I feel it with Baker just like I felt it with Mahomes.
You had Mahomes number 1 last year?
No, I have Mahomes as my number 1 bold prediction to be a top 1 to 5 QB, a guy you want to draft later. But yes, in my top 5.
Gotcha.
In terms of like, don't draft this because you'd be an idiot to draft him higher than you need to, kind of prediction. But yeah, number 1, I dropped 12 bold predictions for the year, and it's my most famous feature on SleeperU.com. And I do 12 of them,
nice.
And they're massively bold. I drop them I'm on CBS Sports Radio, the longest fantasy football radio show in the world, longer than anybody. Matthew Berry hasn't been on something like that as long as I have. To my knowledge, I don't think he's been on one show that long. ESPN, how long has he been with ESPN?
A long time.
Yeah. So I'm not, but as far as a radio show, we are the longest, 23 years, the longest running fantasy football radio show in the world on CBS Sports Radio. And I drop those bold predictions every year. There's 12 of them. Mahomes was number 1 last year. James Conner was number 2. And a guy we're going to talk about in a minute was on that bold prediction list as well as a bust. And he busted big time. And we'll talk about him in a minute.
Before we do that, let me get a little shameless self-promo in there as well. I'm just messing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Last year, the QBs for B-Stone were Ben Roethlisberger and Jared Goff. The year before that is Tom Brady MVP season. Year before that, Matt Ryan MVP season. So, looks like we got a little quarterback U between us.
Yeah. Well, you could definitely teach at Sleeper U. We have teaching positions if you would like to at the university. But I love sleepers. It's what I'm known for. And
how's the Greek life?
Mayfield is on my. Huh?
How's the Greek life? I'm just messing.
Good. Yeah, we do good. All right. I'm the chairman, CEO, and treasurer and everything of the university.
Oh, so it's a good time then. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
So, but Baker Mayfield is in my top 10 bold predictions. So.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? We were talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that's a perfect segue into Damian Williams, a running back that you love. But I do not love Damian Williams because of the ex-Cleveland Brown. You see how we're kind of doing a back and forth crossover? Carlos Hyde and Go Beast. He is a better running back than Damian Williams. If you take Damian Williams, Carlos Hyde, place him on, the Oakland Raiders, and they're fighting for that starting running back job, Carlos Hyde is getting that job 100 times out of 100 times. This is the best offense he's been a part of. Colin Kaepernick was the best offense before that. Now he's got the Chiefs offense. Hyde is going to be the lead running back before week 4 of the season. Could be earlier.
I don't, unless injury happens, I do not see how that could possibly happen. Because of one simple thing. That offense is so complicated and complex. Damian Williams doesn't even know the entire playbook yet and can run all the plays himself. And he actually did an interview where he said they're even easing me into it still because it's so complicated. And that's not a knock on him. He even admitted that's not a knock on me, that it's just so complicated and they want to make sure I have it all handled. It's super complicated. So unless he gets hurt, I don't think he will be unseated by default. And not to mention, if you look at Damian Harris's last 6 games in 2018, his last 4 regular season games and his 2 playoff games, 10 total TDs and over 100 yards a game total in those 6 games. So 600 yards, 10 TDs. Nobody but maybe one, depending on your scoring or how you analyze it, maybe 1 or 2 running backs, if that, were better than him during that 6-game stretch. So those are the last 6 games we got from him. So we don't have him busting, regressing, dropping off, getting hurt. Oh, will he bounce back? Well, the last time Damian Williams played, he was an animal. He was a beast.
How about some of those last games he played against the Raiders twice. I'm sure that helped. But regardless,
everybody plays
the Raiders twice.
You can take that. You can take that out of anybody's stats anytime.
That's fine.
The bottom line is though he has the advantage of being immersed in that offense that's very complex. He's got the trust. He played really. Look at the film. He played amazing. And you can talk about journeyman or all that, but he hasn't been in a good situation.
Damian Williams, you just admitted that he's having trouble understanding the full playbook. It's complex. So why will Carlos Hyde get it? It doesn't matter. It's going to be a committee. Carlos Hyde is a better player. They're going to have enough plays for Carlos Hyde every single week where it's going to take away the value of Damian Williams. Carlos Hyde's a better running back. He's more powerful. Damian Williams might be a better blocker, might be a better third down running back, but Carlos Hyde is the real deal. He can do it all, and he is going to be the running back for the Chiefs at some point this season.
We will find out, my friend. I'm not saying.
Hey, can we do a little promo thing for that too? You know,
are you sure you want to?
I get till week 8 before that we start talking.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Or we could just talk about it in knowing that, hey, you're predicting it to be a takeover. So if it hasn't happened by week 4, I'm not going to be in your face. It's more like, when is it going to happen? Hey, when's it going to happen? But unless
it'll happen early.
Injury could do it. Injury could do it.
It'll happen
I think
early.
Darwin Thompson's got a lot of talent too. The only thing that makes me scared about Darwin Thompson not getting there is because of the complexity of the offense and him being a rookie. But I like Darwin Thompson better. I think Hyde is very injury prone. Hyde had, you could say this about both of them, Hyde and Damian Williams. They both had a chance and didn't quite thrive. But now Damian Williams and him come to a good situation. So if Damian Williams gets hurt, I do like whoever's starting in an offense, and I like to pair them together. But Damian's embedded into the opportunity and knows the offense. And he played amazing every single game we have of him on out from week 4 into the playoffs was amazing. So I don't know how you can say
Hyde is a better running back. This is his first opportunity, but only time will tell.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the finale. It's a running back that used to go in the first round. I believe he was a first-round pick last year. Now he's fallen to round 3, round 4. That's Leonard Fournette. Go for it, Smitty.
He was my number 7 bold prediction, my only negative, so bust prediction on my top 12 bold predictions. The famous bold predictions that I throw out every year, he was number 7. And I said that anybody drafting him was going to ruin their season, because he had a top 7 to 10 overall ADP, which I thought was absolutely crazy. And I didn't understand why anybody thought that him losing weight was a good idea, to take weight off of an aggressive running back that's already injury prone. It's like going and playing without your pads. And he's not used to playing at that weight. It was a disaster waiting to happen. And I saw it from a mile away, and I was screaming as much as I could about it. I beat a dead horse oftentimes. When I see something and I don't see a change in the ADP, I'll ring this bell. That's why I have the bell over and over. But Fournette, to me, has done nothing to prove any different than the last expectation I had for him was to bust. What has he done this offseason? He almost got written off by the team, and they decided to give him one more chance. And yeah, you can say it's a speeding ticket, all that. Then he goes out, makes a bonehead move, and gets arrested and cuffed for, 100 miles an hour or whatever the hell it was over. He doesn't make good decisions. He fights on the field. He disappoints people left and right. I just want to know, what is it that makes you like him this year? What has he done to earn your trust back when last year he completely busted on everybody with injury and making boneheaded decisions?
And first of all, I want to say for the record, I was not in love with Fournette last year. But this year, DeFilippo is the offensive coordinator. And you know who his quarterback was with the Super Bowl team a couple years ago? Nick Foles. So now they're reunited in Jacksonville. And Jacksonville's actually got a nice wide receiver core. They got Marquise Lee, D.D. Westbrook, Keelan Cole. Those 3 guys, they can make plays. So the Jaguars offense, it's going to be moving the ball this year down the field. Last year with Blake Bortles, do I even need to say more? The offensive line, it's not the best, but they did say they want to get Fournette more involved in the passing game. The Jaguars' offense is more vertical this year. Fournette's going to get 100 total yards automatically every single game. It's going to be a nice PPR weapon, and he could score a touchdown every single week.
We will see. There's no denying that he has between the tackle potential when he's on the field, when he's not fighting on the sideline, when he's not making bonehead decisions, when he's not disappointing his team. They literally almost cut ties with him in like January, February. They're like, we're done with you. So there's so much more that might be going on in the locker room than we even know for them to get to that point. They gave him another shot. They're obviously still going to give him another shot. Armstead, the rookie backup to him, is somebody that I'm grabbing, and I'm not touching Fournette. That's my approach on that, because he's done nothing to earn my trust back. Nothing. Absolutely zero. Almost negative.
It's what's around him that makes him trustworthy.
Well, then Armstead, I think, is going to benefit from that if that truly is an amazing surrounding for a running back. But, hey, man, that's why we play the game. Are we right on everything? Even, us so-called experts, we're going to miss on things. These could be the things that I miss on. I don't think so. But, it's fun to debate it with you, and you definitely have passion for it. So I like having you on the show. I think this should be a fun, regular type of thing between our two shows.
I'm definitely down for that. Smitty, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, and do you have any one final sleeper type thing you want to throw out there?
How about we each get one shameless self promo one more time, just because we're saying goodbye and we'll do this again.
Sure, but throw a sleeper out there on top of that.
Okay. All right. How about this? I'm going to give you my number one defense instead.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the New England Patriots this year. It's the same unit as last year, plus Jamie Collins, Michael Bennett. They're rock solid. And then for the shameless self promo, my name is Muntradamus, beastdome.com. You can check everything out there. Go for it, Smitty.
Yeah, shameless promo right here. Sleeperu.com, thefantasyfootballshow.com. That takes you right to my YouTube show, which has grown from 0 to 1,800 in a matter of months, and we're exploding. You can find me on CBS Sports Radio every single week during the NFL season. I'm going to actually live stream that show from my YouTube channel. So anybody that has been having to call in and try and listen to that show, you can now watch my CBS show. 23 years running, longest fantasy football radio show in the world. Russ Bliss is the host, and I'm the co-host. That I've been doing it for 15 years with him. He started it 23 years ago, so he's an older dinosaur than I am in the industry. But my sleeper for all of you, this is another win-a-league strategy. I don't believe in James Conner in 2019. He was my number 2 bold prediction for 2018, so you can't call me a James Conner hater. But I think there are writings on the wall for Jalen Samuels or Benny Snell. So the two together, if you draft them and cuff them together, is a win-a-league strategy on your bench, because I think at some point Connor gets unseated or he gets hurt. He broke down last year. Eddie Faulkner, NC State coach, was Jalen Samuels' coach in college. He's now the Pittsburgh Steelers running back coach. He's going to want to use his boy Jalen Samuels, who he threw to so much that Jalen Samuels entered 2018 as a rookie, as a tight end eligible player in Yahoo leagues. He was tight end eligible all year. That's how good of a wide receiver Jalen Samuels is. But that's my sleeper duo that went to a league in 2019.
He was a beast to close out the end of last season.
Yeah, I love Samuels a lot.
Smitty, it was a pleasure. We'll do this again soon.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you being on my show, and you can say the same thing.
And I appreciate that, Smitty. I appreciate you being on my show.
I'll come by anytime.
Beast. Love it.